Yay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick introduction of Diane. So this is Diane Pittenger, excuse me, who describes herself as a certifiable health nut, right? She has a passion for helping herself and her family toward better health, and she believes that that comes through education and training. So Diane began her journey back in her late 30s. She was looking at her energy level was seriously impaired. She was looking at the thought of like doctors, but they were expensive and offered zero help. So she started doing her own research, and this literally took decades, she said, of trial and error, of seeking better food choices instead of jumping into fad diets, but instead focusing on supplements, better food choices, and exercise routines. So now as a certified health coach and weight loss specialist, she's put together the puzzle pieces to not only help herself and her family, but others as she trains and educates them on how to achieve the fantastic, life-changing results in the shortest amount of time. So now we get to hear from Diane and everything that she's going to tell you guys about how to get on this weight loss journey. Thank you, Diane. It's your turn.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, this is so much fun and such an honor to be here with all of you awesome ladies. So I'm going to share my screen. My tech guy is here by my side because I'm like, you cannot leave me this whole presentation. So anyway, okay, so the title of my presentation today is Why Diets Fail Us. And I don't consider it that we fail at a diet. I feel like diets fail us. And so I just want to, maybe by a show of hands, who has been frustrated and felt like they've been the victim of a diet fail? Just raise your hand because I know I'm not the only one, right? I mean, I struggled with those 30 pounds on and off, on and off, on and off. So before I got it straightened out. So, you know, we are definitely not alone because the shocking statistics report that diets fail to deliver for up to 90% of people. And I was one of the 90%. And it's probably the reason that most people associate the word diet with deprivation, frustration, and failure. Because that's what I felt, and a lot of people do. You know, they feel deprived and they feel like they're failing. But we can absolutely up our odds of success by like taking it from like the 10% all the way up to 95%. If we just simply add a handful of components and a proven 10 component strategy system that I'll talk about in just a minute. But first, I want to say just a word about that Harvard Business Review did a study, and this is one of many studies actually, but they report that business owners have a much higher rate of burnout because we tend to pour everything into business and pour very little into our self-care, which is stating the obvious, don't you think? But you know, let's face it, that's the truth. And the sad truth is that those extra pounds are going to result in lower energy, lack of confidence, and extra stress, higher risk of viruses, illnesses, and every chronic disease, and all the stuff that we don't want. And worse yet, as business owners, there's rarely anybody who can step in and do our job if we get sick, right? There's no calling in sick when you're the boss babe. So I realize I'm stating the obvious again, but sometimes we get so wrapped up in growing a business or in saving the world that we lose sight of our own health. And that creates the perfect storm for weight gain and obesity, which we know those are known comorbidity factors. So, but you know, hey, we're smart business owners and smart ladies, so we realize that we're not gifted in every single area, and it's often smart to hire expert help so that we can be assured of reaching important goals fast. Who's with me on that one? It's like, hey, I'm not an expert on everything. That's why I got my tech guy sitting here. So, because it's probably also a safe bet that you're feeling overwhelmed with the day-to-day, and we entrepreneurs simply don't want one more thing on our plate. Okay, I know that was a bad pun, but I couldn't resist. But seriously, circling back to the focus of my presentation about why diets fail us and what's missing, would you like to hear about how we can increase our odds of success for weight loss or for any goal from around 10% all the way up to 95%? So maybe just give me a head nod. I can see some of you there. Okay, so this is a really easy 3-step system that will increase the your favor, the odds in your favor from 10% to 95%. But before I share that, I just want to do one thing. Let's just forgive ourselves for having not had amazing success in everything we've ever attempted, because after all, we gain wisdom from failures as well as successes, and I believe that God uses everything for our good. And so with that foundation of forgiveness, let's move forward, and I'll share the 3 steps to move the needle from 10% all the way to 95% success rate. Okay, so here we go. Step number 1, and this increases the odds of success from 10% to 25% if we simply make a conscious commitment to ourselves to achieve the goal. Often we only half-heartedly decide on a goal, but we don't really commit to reaching that goal. So we basically have one foot in and one foot out. So when life happens and we get too busy, it's really easy to abandon our goal. Or does that only happen to me? Let's be real. This happens to everyone if you're human. So fully committing to yourself, you know, what that might look like is that you write just a document to yourself that you sign, and you know, it can be simple as that. You know, you can also, you know, like write on that document how this is going to help you with personal goals, professional goals, or anything like that. But it's really a simple first step. And then the next step is going to boost our odds of success from 25% to 65% when we commit to someone else that we're going to achieve the goal. And this is where friends, communities, and coaches can often make the difference between success and failure. Because it's human nature that we don't want to let someone else down, even though we may be okay by letting ourselves down. And 65% is way better than 10% or 25%, but it's still not good enough for me and for most people. So would you like to know how to stack the odds in your favor all the way to 95%? Maybe just raise your hand if you think 95% odds are better than 65. Come on, come on. Okay, so the secret is not just to commit to ourselves or to someone else that we're going to achieve that goal. Step number 3, the real secret sauce is to have a specific accountability appointment with the person you're committing to. And whether that means that you've completed certain steps toward your goal that day or that week, or whether you need more time to renegotiate the time frame of the tasks and set the next accountability appointment. Step 3 is huge because it increases our odds of success to 95%. So fully committing and accountability are some huge factors, right? But let's face it, there are often many other components to our success. So, you know, such as receiving specialized training and having a solid plan of attack, and maybe a few shortcuts too. Because after all, just because you commit to becoming a doctor, for example, you're still going to need some specialized training and a solid plan of attack to reach your goals. So, and that accountability is so important. So similarly, you know, lasting weight loss, you're also going to need a bit of specialized training and a coach with some brilliant shortcuts and an effective plan, which has all 10 of the next vital components that I'll share with you next. Because the sad reality is that most DIY diets fail because they lack many or most of these 10 components for your success. Because let's be honest, I think we've all made the mistake of buying whatever the latest fad book is and thinking it's finally the answer. But in reality, who has time to read a thick book? I sure don't. And how about, can you find the bandwidth to wrap your head around a volume of new information? The truth is that we business owners are always, it seems to be, up to our eyeballs with the day-to-day. So is it really any wonder that the DIY diets are practically guaranteed to fail us? But the great news is that the success rates skyrocket when all 10 of these vital components are present in a diet. Number one is accountability on multiple levels. For example, daily weighing, that's, self-accountability. Weekly reporting, you're going to report to your coach, probably. Private coaching accountability appointments that we talked about earlier. And, in what I teach, I have many layers of accountability woven into everything to ensure the fastest results and the highest odds of success for you. And then the next component, step-by-step guidance, because let's be honest that your unique zone of genius probably doesn't include the stuff that I teach or the way I coach. So step-by-step guidance and training makes a huge difference. And I provide information for your transformation so that you can get results like even if like 95% or 90% of the people who try diets have failed in the past. The private coaching past stalls is really important because your bathroom scale is going to stall and plateau. And it can be so frustrating. And this is where a lot of people just give up. They're like, oh, it's stuck. There's nothing I can do. I tried, I failed. But no worries. I've got custom tweaks to get the scale moving again in the right direction. There's several things that we can try. And number 4 is what foods to eat and what to avoid. This is pretty standard with all diets. How much to eat. For instance, we want an optimal caloric range that will avoid our body going into famine mode and yet create a calorie deficit that supports weight loss. And then an optimal target range of fats, protein, and carbs for weight loss, but without feeling deprived as you lose weight, because we don't want to feel deprived and starving. That's going to sabotage. Number 7 is when to eat and when not to eat. And I did a deeper dive on this in the breakout session with Dr. Tisha, where we did some myth busting, but there's so much misinformation that we've been fed our whole lives. And I'll be talking a little bit more about this because I have a free gift for y'all, which we'll talk about in a minute, that this is like one of my favorite components of the 10. And then the next component is the community support of friends along the same journey who share the same struggles and celebrate our victories. And community support of friends is why there is an actual thing in sports called the home team advantage. And you've all heard of that, right? In football, it's called the 12th man. And having people cheering you on to victory is a real thing, and it makes a real difference. And then constant wins is a huge thing. You want constant wins every day, every week. And for instance, I've built part of my program into an online gamification course platform, because when we give our brains rewards along the way, it's a scientific game changer for success. So there's things like the winner's circle, prize drawings, recipe challenges, and recognizing non-scale victories, because just because the scale might be stuck for a few days in a certain spot, I mean, is your ring getting small, getting larger? Do you need a new bra because the old ones are too big? I mean, these are non-scale victories, which are really important. And celebrating our accomplishments, large and small, it sparks a dopamine release in the brain, providing an immediate dose of happiness and motivation. And so that's another step that I take with my clients, is that every time you achieve a micro goal, for instance, like 5 or a 10-pound weight loss, it's important to reward yourself along the way with something fun. So part of the work I do with clients is I help them to identify the micro goals that they want to achieve, and those linked with rewards along the way, like a new pair of earrings, getting a massage, getting the car detailed, a new kitchen gadget, or scheduling a weekend getaway. Because when we set micro goals together, that's going to help us focus, to keep the focus, number one, on your progress and not on perfection. We get to be perfect in heaven, and I can't wait. But here on earth, we want to focus on progress. And of course, the last thing is the easy and delicious recipes to take out the guesswork. So these 10 components are the basic framework for success, which differentiates an effective program where you'll enjoy lasting success with just another failed diet. And psychology today agrees. Research shows that extrinsic motivators, such as to avoid hurtful comments or to fit into an outfit, well, these can jumpstart the dieting process. But intrinsic motivation, such as connection, enjoyment, challenge, a sense of accomplishment in the journey, these are all some really important keys to lasting weight loss. So in other words, psychology today says it's helpful to choose a diet that will be sustainable and effective, believe that the diet, the micro goals and rewards, the start date, the end goals, those have been decided on by you and not assigned by someone else. And it's helpful to find a coach and a community of supporters to encourage you, challenge, and celebrate with you. And so if you're looking to lose weight, I'm doing a deeper dive on that one powerful weight loss strategy that I talked about earlier. And I've created this really cool workbook that describes how to lose weight in your sleep. Really? I know it sounds too good to be true, right? But seriously, this free gift is one of my favorite tools, especially because I can do most of it in my sleep. And when you understand some of the science behind what your body can do and will do between dinner and breakfast the next day, well, when we know better, we do better. And oftentimes this knowing the what and the why will help us to do the thing. So my slogan is, let's do this. I'm Diane Pittenger, certified health coach and weight loss specialist, and I help people lose weight and easily maintain weight loss without having to buy prepackaged meals, fancy meal replacement shakes, or anything other than groceries, and without having to sweat for hours every day in an expensive gym, so that my clients can look and feel great, enjoy more energy and confidence, and transform their lives, their businesses, and their health. So how are we doing on time, Kristen? Because I can go on and on.
I know, that was great. Thank you so much. If you hit the stop share on your screen, we can go ahead back. Awesome, 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 awesome. And yeah, I see a comment from Connie. And you know what? That is so true. Our bodies today are very different than what our bodies were years ago. And what we did before may not necessarily work now. I think if we could, there we go, the side by side. Diane, I have a question for you. You mentioned about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Like those are two of the biggest things that I talk about, because when we talk about sales, right, people buy because they're either going to buy because something's an extrinsic motivation or something that's intrinsic. Can you talk a little bit more about that, just so we kind of have a little bit more of a clear understanding of those two different things?
Sure. Well, extrinsic motivators are, like I said, trying to, like avoid hurtful comments, or maybe, embarrassment. You're going to the beach, it's summer, and, maybe you have a few extra pounds that you're carrying, or, your clothes are getting tight, those kinds of things. Those are extrinsic motivators. But intrinsic, you want to get like down to your why. Like, why is losing weight important for you? Why is it going to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve? The goals that you want to achieve, whether that's in business or personal, or you just want to be healthy. I mean, my personal journey was I just had such low energy, and I had always been, a type A personality, and really, kind of driven and ambitious, and man, that just all went away in my late 30s. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, you're not getting any younger. Well, I was like, well, I'm 38, like that's not terribly old, and all she could do is like, well, are you eating enough broccoli? I'm like, well, yeah. But anyway, so, like just feeling like your younger self, full of ambition and motivation. I mean, those are things that motivate me intrinsically. And, so everybody has slightly different intrinsic motivations, but a lot of times it's like, like if you join the gym with a gym buddy, or if you go on a diet with a coach, or with a friend, or with a spouse, like you've got more intrinsic motivation, because you don't want to let other people down, and you want to fulfill your commitments to those people, and your commitments on the promise.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So it is all about that. We have the intrinsic and the extrinsic. And I know most of the time, especially when it comes to weight loss, we always think about, oh, I want to fit in this new dress, or I want to wear this new bikini, or what happens is it's short term. You get a short-term burst and you get a short-term goal. But when you're really looking at long-term success, which is what we're here today to talk about, long-term success. We've got 90 days. Then we want to finish out the year. Then we don't want to gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, right? If you're only focused on the extrinsic side of it, I think I'm saying that word wrong, and not the intrinsic motivation, right? Then you'll stay on this yo-yo, and you'll stay on this cycle, and it's not good. And I love, Diane, what you talk about accountability. And I know, LaDonna, that is something that you and I are going to talk about again when you have your time too, is accountability is key. Accountability is key, because we don't want to let down those who are around us. So accountability is a really big part of it.
Lauren's hand is.
Do we have a question? Lorraine.
Diane, when to eat and when not to eat? I mean, could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I talked about that a little bit in the myth busting, where, we've heard that advice, that you need to eat breakfast right away, and then snack, and then lunch, and then snack, and then dinner, and then snack.
Okay.
And that's hit the trail. So then your insulin is going to store it in fat cells. So that's an example of when to eat and when not to eat. And then my free download, my workbook, which Kristen's going to share that about. I guess you're going to share that in an email, or anyway, put it in the chat. But anyway, that's how to lose weight in your sleep. So really, so it's like three easy steps to amp up the fat burning process, because you shared that in the breakout room that you were diagnosed with pre-diabetes, and
Right.
and as we know, that's a controllable disease, and fortunately that's one of the diseases that we can start walking that back, and we want to restore the sensitivity in ourselves to take in that energy. And so when to eat and when not to eat is actually really important, especially in your case.
Right.
It's one of the things I help people with all the time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for excellent
Thank you.
question. I love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.